Shalom, it's the brother Kadash. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to all the brothers in this truth. You know, this is why U.S. malls are disappearing. And on my channel, I did a video a while ago back where it was showing how Macy's was closing a whole bunch of stores. You had a whole bunch of different mall outlets that were closing a whole bunch of their stores. I know if you go to our mall right now, there used to be a Sears in there. All that stuff is closed. Everything is pretty much empty. And there's a whole bunch of different spaces. I mean, you probably could get a space for rent for cheap right now in the mall. There's a whole bunch of different spaces where it's just empty, where it used to be stores. And every little space you could rent, every little store inside the mall, you could rent that little space and start your little business there. There used to be nothing, it'd be hard for you to get in. You have to wait in a line in order to get a place. Now there's all on every floor, there's just nothing but open spaces that you could go rent because the stores are all shutting down. So what's the cause of all this? Well, everything's going digital, and this is going to all backfire on them. I was just hearing one of the apostles say how that them doing this is all going to backfire on them. Going with the internet of all things and coming with the mark of the beast, it's going to backfire on them. Because what's going to happen is destroying their economy. So now no longer do you have workers. A lot of people don't have jobs because there's no physical job to go to. So yeah, while you do have the rise of at-home workers, because people that's working from stuff that's online, it's not big enough to offset all the jobs that are being. When you get a whole mall closed, you got to think about it. That's hundreds and hundreds of people that don't have a job now. A lot of teenagers, to start off their life, they would go work at the mall. They would go apply at Macy's, different stores, the food court. They go work at Champs, Finish Line. They would go to the mall at 18 and stuff like that and get them a little gig. Now they can't do that. So it's really hurting their economy more, with them going online. But these companies are going online because it's cheaper for them not to pay store rent, not to pay utilities. They could just go online and sell all their stuff from online since everybody's online anyways. But it's really doing more damage than good. So let's let this play.
Malls in the U.S. were once known for their massive department stores, endless fast food courts, and as a Friday night hangout for teens. But with the rise of online retailers and the demise of the department store, it is a challenging time to be a mall owner. In November 2020, two mall owners, CBL and Associates, and Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment Trust filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection after facing increased pressure due to COVID-19. And according to a 2020 study, 25% of U.S. malls are expected to close permanently within the next 5 years.
I think COVID really accelerated trends that were already at play prior to the pandemic. It was retailers closing stores, retail bankruptcies. Retailers were looking for ways to renegotiate leases or pay less in rent.
There are going to be malls that fail, and there are going to be vacant spaces. What happens to them into the future?
We believe that they're going to be used for FEMA camps. They got to upkeep these things. They can't let them just sit there empty and, nobody's upkeeping it. So, we believe that it's going to be used for different FEMA camps and stuff like that. But the whole city, all the cities are going to be laid desolate anyways.
Sure. I just know in the Syracuse area we have one, and the county just purchased it. I don't know what the plans are, but it's...
So they have one, and the county just purchased it. So the county purchased this big building for what? You think they finna get in there and open it back up and start selling clothing? No, man. They know the destruction that's coming. They purchasing it to get those FEMA camps started. All hell break loose when shit hits the fan. I just did a video about that. You're going to have some places where the military, the government, police force, they have little strongholds, places where they set up, they set up shop at. And you're going to be able to come there, but you're going to have stiff stipulations in order to be a part of it. And they're going to be in some of these different spaces as FEMA camps. And then that's ultimately going to end up to people being trapped there.
A lot of There's a lot of empty space and a lot of parking spaces sitting there doing nothing.
Prior to COVID-19, with
They're not sitting there doing nothing. They're appointed for a certain time.
consumers craving experiences over traditional brick and mortar retail shopping, malls were forced to pivot, offering everything from fine dining to indoor ski slopes. But the pandemic has exacerbated the challenges at malls as social distancing has placed restrictions on stores, movie theaters, and restaurants.
You will see more malls closed, you'll see more shopping centers closed, but what you'll see is the winners continue to emerge.
Malls are also a huge tax driver for the communities they serve and employ a lot of people locally. So what will become of malls in America after the pandemic ends?
There is no ending. And see, this is what they're waiting. They're waiting for the end and everything goes back to normal. That's not going to happen, man. But like he said, it employed a lot of people, in the communities. So those people ain't got jobs no more. This is Ecclesiasticus, which is the verse we always going to use for this type of stuff. This is chapter 12. What can you do? Verse 1. Remember now the Creator in the days of your youth. Remember the Lord, man. While the evil days come not, because they about to come here soon. Like we saying, man, 6-8 months. We looking at the end of this year. We're looking at the start seeing the beginning of this shit hits the fan, It says, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. Because people going to have no pleasure during this time. It says, while the sun and the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, or the clouds return after the rain. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. So your government, the ones that's ruling right now, that controls America, they gonna be trembling when they see this destruction come, and there ain't nothing they could do about it. They gonna try to go to war. That's where you're gonna get those nuclear weapons. And when the Lord returns, they gonna try to go to war with him and be destroyed. It says, and the strong man shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease. What's the grinders? The workers. The workers is what keeps the economy going. People being laid off, hundreds. A mall could have hundreds and hundreds of employees. You got to think about it. Every little store in there got 2, 3, 4 employees on one shift. Then they got the next shift. So every store probably got like 8 employees. And there's hundreds of stores in these gigantic malls. Like the Galleria, Lenox Square. You got people that just work at the mall that don't work at the store. Security. People that work in the food courts. How many employees do Macy's have? So you got to deal with that. So the grinders cease. I mean, ain't gonna be no more workers, man. So we're seeing this play out right now. We're seeing the grinders cease, and it's not gonna come back. It don't say that it's gonna cease and then it's gonna come back. Everything's gonna go to normal. We're gonna have a new normal. No, man, it's over with. It says because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened. Because people ain't gonna be looking to have no future. It's getting very dark right now when you're trying to look at your future. I wanted to do some different, business transactions, but I'm looking at it like, man, don't waste your money on that stuff. 5, 10 years down the road, nah, man, I ain't trying to build no business right now. If you got any extra money, you're trying to get materials and stuff like that and plan and start prepping for it to survive when this stuff hits, when shit hits the fan. Ain't nobody trying to start no business right now, man. The future is darkened. You got kids that's having a hard time going to college. They trying to debate right now if they going to suspend the debt or not. They ain't even ruled on that yet. You got, like we said, you got kids coming out of high school, 18 years old, and they get these jobs in order to pay for stuff like tuition. Or some of them get scholarship, but to pay for the extra stuff, right? Your car, your gas, stuff like that. The fun stuff that you want to go do. What would they do? They would go work at the malls. They would go work at Finish Line, Champs, the food court, Dick's Sporting Goods, H&M, Hollister, Macy's, Sears. They would go work at these stores, making $12 an hour, $10 an hour. Just enough to put a little money in their pocket. But they ain't able to do that. And then the businesses in there. You got K's. You got these different jewelry stores, these big time jewelry stores, Macy's, where they make millions. Some of these business owners, they go set up in the mall and start selling their products. They can't do that no more, man. Their futures is looking dark. So we're going into the Bible and we're filtering the things that's happening in the world through the Bible to show you, like, look, the scriptures told you about this. That's why this is the number one, the number one book in history. So we going in and showing you, like, look, this is the time, and we giving you warnings, and we're showing you these things to warn you of the next things that's coming after it. 2nd Esdras chapter 15, 2nd Esdras chapter 16. That's what's coming next. So you got to get prepared, man. With that, I'm going to say salvation to the elect. Shalom.